pregnant at 42? That's disgusting. You're already old? What are you trying to do at this stage? It's seriously impossible to carry pregnancy. 33.
We've been married for over 20 years. I've always wanted a child and worked hard to have one. The long-awaited moment finally arrived. My husband's profanity was so terrifying. He looked at me with contempt, as if piece of trash. I felt anger that overridden my deep. I was determined to make my life with my beloved child and ran out of the house. In addition to giving birth at my ass gonna be a single mother, it was not an easy road. Still, if I never had to see his face grimaced with a smile, that was meant to be kind but felt like a knife in my heart. It was during those days that the Dookie U union happened. I never imagined that it would lead an ending though. My name is Lisa. I got married at the age of 20 after being in a relationship with my husband since high school. We enjoyed our newlywed life a little less than others around us. Although we were not well off, we fulfilled in our daily life except one thing. It was infertility. We got married before anyone else, couldn't get pregnant. 5 years later, our friends got married, had babies, but we weren't as fortunate as them.
Why can't we have a baby? I think you have a problem.
Whenever people around us brought up the pregnancy, Ivan would get grumpy and insult them. He made himself out to be the victim, placing all the blame on me.
Why don't we go infertility treatment together? If we can't get pregnant, after all, we have no choice but to get proper.
Why do I have to go? A woman gives birth, so the cause, moo woman. Besides, how much do you think the costs?
It was true that infertility treatment did not guarantee pregnancy, and it wasn't either. It also took a lot of time, so I can understand why he didn't want to go with it. His words made me sad, but it was more by the coldness of the way he looked.
Most women get pregnant naturally, are seriously incompetent. I feel like I've been cheated. I shouldn't have married you.
He ended the conversation then and watching TV with a beer in his hand. He had no idea that I cried alone. This exchange went on for years. I eventually stopped talking about infertility treatment. We were still sexually active, but an unfulfilled and meaningless act. Deep in my heart, I always kept to have a child. More than 10 years passed before my true. One day, when I turned 42, the hope I had almost given up on sprouted.
No way, I'm pregnant.
I thought I was dreaming. As I checked the pregnancy test, I was disappointed as always, but couldn't believe what I was seeing before my eyes. Forgetting to wipe away the tears, immediately ran up to Ivan.
Honey, I'm finally pregnant. We're having our baby.
He was watching TV and looked at me in surprise. Then he let out a prolonged sigh.
It's too gross, an old lady getting pregnant. It's nothing but a nuisance now.
What are you saying?
I could not understand what he meant. While I was stunned, he continued to talk one-sidedly.
Don't have a baby. It's going to, or us, money. Abortion isn't free either.
Are you crazy? How could you say such a thing?
I have no feelings for you anymore. Just when I'm thinking of a divorce up with trouble. Living with you is nothing but a neck for me. On top of that, I don't want to have a child.
With a distorted smile on his face, me away with his hand. I'd been told a lot of horrible things by him, but I couldn't endure anymore. At that moment, I finally decided that I would rather live as the mother of my own children than as the wife of a man like him.
If that's the case, I will divorce him. I will take responsibility for raising a child. I can't be with someone who is a lousy person like you.
That's convenient. Good luck raising a child alone, old lady. Don't come begging me for help.
He made it clear that he would not the child. If I had listened to my attorney, I would have received child support from him. I was just so angry and disgusted that I wanted to divorce him as fast as possible. I ended up getting nothing after all. Such things were trivial to me at that time. After our separation, I moved back in with my parents, and there I was able to give birth. My long-awaited son was adorable, and I thought I could do anything for him. When my body recovered, I decided to a job right away to make ends meet. My parents were to take care of my could work without worry. After visiting several places, I was diner. The manager and his wife were as well as providing me with meals. He gave me leftover food every day. I was more than grateful for their helpfulness.
We'd like to support you in any way. You can bring your baby here sometimes.
Thanks to the considerate manager and wife, I had no trouble making a living. It was around the time I was getting my job. I went to greet customers as usual, stunned to see one of their faces.
Oh my God, what are you doing here?
It was Ivan sitting in the booth. Just looking at his face was enough me anxious. It was made worse by the young woman who looked at me puzzled.
None of your business. I mean, do here?
He laughed and tried to make fun of me.
You must be miserable working in diner looking like a bitter old one. Unlike you, I'm leading a very color life. 33.
He began to talk about himself without being asked. The woman he had with him was the daughter of a very respectable family with old connections. After marrying her, he quit his job training to take over her family bus. He did look a little well off, wearing a watch and all. I cut the conversation short and had a minimal exchange with him. Despite that, I could hear him talking about me and bragging about himself until he left the diner. The woman next to him, looking embarrassed, must have been having a hard time. I felt a little sorry for her. As I was cleaning the table, a mess appeared before me.
Was that someone you know? He seemed like a very vulgar person. 33.
He's my ex-husband. I'm very ashamed of him.
Really? He came here several times in the past several years. I remember him well because of his...
My mind went blank. A few years ago meant that he had been cheating on me for a long time. He didn't initiate divorce until I was pregnant because he wasn't sure if he was fertile. If the woman was from a the issue of heirs wasn't important. A man who couldn't have children was the question. When I got pregnant, he convinced me that we could get a divorce without any worries. The fact that I had been cheated on many years infuriated me. I was unaware of the affair during our divorce and did not file for alimony. The manager's memory alone was not enough evidence. It was too late to gather any proof, and there was nothing I could do about it anyway.
Is there anything I can do now?
As I was just trying to wrap my head around it, the manager gave me the contact number.
If you want to do something about, should speak to her. She will help you.
A lawyer or a detective?
No. Someone who might be a stronger candidate.
At first, I didn't understand what's saying. I had no idea at the time that this unexpected event would make such a big difference in my life. Then, about a year after Ivan visited, I suddenly received a call from him. He wanted to talk to me urgently. I decided to meet him at a nearby CC shop. As soon as he arrived, he let out a sigh.
I've been married to Mary for a year, and it's really been hell.
Mary was the woman he was with. He complained about her family, and which he originally bragged to me at.
She's not like you. She can't get pregnant. I'm really unlucky with finding a D woman. I'm in such a hurry to have an heir is really annoying. My in-laws are even saying that I am infertile. That's bullshit. I
listened to his complaints silently, sipping my coffee without even nodding.
I envy you for being able to make with such a simple job. I'm told that they don't need an heir and can't even produce one, and they even let me work. It's just too much. I went out of my way to quit my job in with them in the countryside. They're ungrateful people.
Do you have to tell me that? I don't have time for this. 33.
As I finished my coffee, he took my squeezed it tightly.
I'm not going to go through all this to live in that filthy countryside. Why don't we start over? You're poor and in trouble, but I can't help you.
Not a single word of apology from him. To top it all off, he talked nonsense. My anger reached its peak. I shook his hand off as I screamed, not caring about other customers.
Don't you dare. You threw me and our child away, and now what? I even know that you were having an affair with Mary while we were still together. Why would I want to go back to a marriage that didn't work out?
My shout attracted the customers He was furious to be shamed in public. He overruled it with an even louder.
You're making false accusations. You cast suspicions without proof. I'm suing you for defamation.
I flinched a little at his sheer intensity, but at the same time, I laughed. My joy at the certainty of victory, my fear.
Fee 11, give her all the proof she needs.
At the best possible moment, the woman sitting in the next booth stood up. When he saw her face, he was so surprised that he squeaked.
Why are you here?
Lisa told me you were meeting her.
She sat down next to me and faced him.
I have a years-long record of our correspondence. That should be enough proof of our right.
Wait, how do you guys know each other?
That's because of the manager of the right, Lisa.
I nodded in agreement. The contact he gave me that day was, she had been a frequent customer of his for a long time and was a good friend of his. When he saw her looking unhappy, he thought that she might be going through the same thing as I did. After much consideration, we hit it off about Ivan. We became friends who shared the same problem. She apologized to me repeatedly for the affair. She had even offered me compensation. Instead, I asked her to help me get in touch with Ivan.
I've been listening to you talk for hours, but you are such a liar. You are not being allowed to work because of an affair with the housekeeper. Besides, your personality has changed too much since we got married. It's nothing but a shame now. 33.
You led me to the housekeeper who was not pregnant. It's not my fault.
When we took a fertility test, who got a bad result? It was your fault. I wasn't going to blame you for that. You're going to use it as an excuse, different story.
Trying to escape from Mary, who went scolding him, he looked at me with eyes. Mary prevented that by banging on the door.
Are you bailing out again? Your life is so miserable. Quit and again. I heard that you called Lisa incompetent a long time ago, but you are an example of incompetence yourself. Stop being a selfish idiot and pay alimony now.
Shut up. Divorce was finalized and there's no can-do about it. Why would I pay her now?
Then she can sue you for emotional. She had gone through a difficult thanks to you abandoning her.
No way.
As he plopped down on the table, May divorce papers in front of him.
I asked you to divorce me too. Of course, I will charge you a reasonable fee for my services.
Wait a minute.
He finally began to cry and rested his head on the table.
What am I going to do now that he's divorced me? Have no job and no money? I can't pay alimony on top of it all. I will never cheat on you again. So forgive me.
How can I trust a man who has already committed adultery twice? You can pay alimony by borrowing or whatever way you can. That's how much pain you've caused.
He knew that Mary was so determined not be persuaded. He turned his tear-stained face to her.
I'm really sorry. I 11 become the man you want me to be. Please forgive me.
I thought about it for a moment before answering with a smile.
Then pay child support and never appear before me again.
Oh no, don't you have compassion?
Since you can say it to me and just guess, I don't think you have compassion. I'll tell everyone in this coffee shop what you have said to me. I wonder how many people would be or side. 1.
He finally gave up and reluctantly divorced papers. In the end, I succeeded in getting him with Mary's cooperation. After he lost a place to live, he found a rundown apartment while working a few part-time jobs. He's doing unfamiliar work without at his age, and will continue to live this until he pays off alimony to me. In addition, I am currently in the getting his recognition of my son. A DNA test has already been done, so it should be just a matter of time. He will be responsible for paying child support soon. I can finally take a break now that everything is settled. I still keep in touch with Mary and meet her at the diner. We enjoy our current lives, laughing and talking about how we're going to find a new partner next time.